So it's a beautifully warm and sunny day in Gloucester.
It's cold as heck.
Got another frost. Oh, it's so cold. It was really cold overnight.
Yeah, cold enough that our Eberspacher decided to turn on this morning.
So we've had a lovely time in Gloucester. I really like it here. The docks are really nice to moor in.
Especially when you arrive and there's nobody here because it's freezing.
Because everyone's more sensible. Just sitting at the dinette and looking out over that view is just really lovely.
And we've scheduled the Clanthony Bridge, I hope I pronounced that correct, to open right around 8 o'clock. By 8:20 they shut it down so that students can walk across the bridge. So we have the short window of opportunity. So we pretty much got to get moving.
And then there's other swing bridges, but they should be all manned today.
Mm-hmm.
Some days they're not manned, like in winter.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays in winter they're not manned. So after this week, we wouldn't be able to move on a Tuesday or Wednesday. And after this week, we have to call 24 hours ahead to arrange movement up the locks above Gloucester. So,
but today's the last day of not winter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no 24-hour notice needs to be done for going south. And on our way back, we need to call a day ahead of when we want to go to Tewkesbury to let them know.
And then they'll tell us what times.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
It's
So
all good fun.
we think we're going to get to Sharpness today,
Yeah.
but I think it's a long way. It's like
About 5 hours.
maybe more, I think. And like when we did 7 hours the day before yesterday, it was too long. So if we get too tired and cold, we're going to stop in Sewell Junction or before.
And yesterday, I went with Joe's dad, who came to visit us, over to the Maritime Museum here.
Yeah, it's £8.50, and it didn't sound like it was worth £8.50.
I think it would totally be worth it in the summer when all the boats are like actually, you know, like there's a steam dredger that goes off on, like they actually turn it on steam dredging days, and there's sort of tours of some of the boats and stuff. But right now, everything's basically shut down. So there's really just the stuff on the inside, and that's not all that impressive. It's mainly about the actual waterfront here.
All right.
It's not so much about the canals as it is about the shipping history of Gloucester.
Which is quite interesting. Like, I like the fact that there's two basins. There's this one and there's Victoria Basin, and then there's something called the barge arm. And the barge arm is where they put the barges to get them out of the way of the big ships.
Yeah.
Shove them down the arm.
Yeah. It's all pretty nice.
Yeah.
Okay, we really better get going.
All right then.
So, on our way.
So just a little bit south of Gloucester, and there's another swing bridge coming up, lift bridge. There's another lift bridge coming up, which should be manned. So hopefully it'll just get opened for us. Fingers crossed. You probably can't see it on the camera, but he is just manually, by hand, lowering the barriers for the traffic. And there's a red light showing. So now he's actually, oh, it is a swing bridge, not a lift bridge. And he's turning a crank by hand to open it for us. Now the light's just changed to green and we can go through. So we've made it to Sharpness, and behind us is the huge, vast River Severn.
Yeah.
And you can't...
Well, the full estuary, pretty much.
Yeah.
Is down that way.
You can't see it, but in the distance is the big suspension bridges.
So this is pretty much as far as we're going to go.
Yeah.
We could, you know, if I weren't so worried about this current and everything, we could continue further down.
And like obviously I'd be completely fine with going onto the Severn and down towards Bristol, but that would mean we'd have to repeat the Kennet and Avon and then the Thames and then the Oxford, and we've just done that, so it doesn't make any sense to do it again.
It doesn't make any sense, and especially because I am so afraid of rivers. Yeah, so basically we've made it here, and we're turning around. Pretty much like...
Probably tomorrow.
We're
having an explore on foot today because the docks are behind us. I wouldn't let Michael go into the docks. I made him more outside.
There's not really that much to Sharpness itself. The estuary itself is beautiful. And
it is beautiful, and you can see the Severn. As you go down the Gloucester and Sharpness Canal, you go alongside the Severn for quite a long time, and it's just vast. Like here it's even wider, and the water's moving very fast.
Yeah, it's about a half mile across. The water's moving like, well, I'll say it's moving. It's the ebb tide, so the water's coming down and going out to sea.
It's completely flat, completely flat.
Like zero, no waves, nothing, just flat. Just it would be fine. It would just involve having your engine run quite hot for quite a long time. Apparently, though, you do need a pilot in this whole area because of all of the sandbanks and...
You can see the sandbanks now.
Yeah. So just up past where we're moored is the remnants of the old Severn Bridge, a railway bridge that had quite a large number of arches and went all the way across the estuary. And I guess in 69 or 59, I can't remember which it was hit by a boat on a dark and stormy night, and a big hole was put into it, and the bridge was eventually dismantled, and the steel girders actually ended up in Chile, where they form part of a road bridge now.
Yeah.
So.
And as you come into Sharpness on the canal, you can still see one of the arches.
And there's a little model of the bridge there. So the Gloucester and Sharpness, what do you think?
I loved it. It's my new favourite canal, but then I'm fickle, so tomorrow I'll have
another new favourite canal.
But I thought I'd be intimidated by how wide and vast it was, because that's what I'd read. But you kind of have the safety and security of being on a canal, not a river. But the vastness just felt really open. And you could see the countryside both sides, and it was wide, and I mean it was dead quiet. There's no we passed one boat coming the other way
and a couple of rowboats.
Oh yeah, there's a few rowboats.
That was pretty much about it. And
lots of boats on it, lots of boats moored in permanent moorings and visitor moorings,
but just not a lot of traffic. There are the swing bridges to deal with, but they're all manned. There's quite a large number of them. They seem to pop up about one every half mile or so, maybe every couple of miles in places. Some of them are tall enough that you can actually go under, but you need to wait till the keeper of the bridge attendant, actually signals you through by turning on a green traffic light. So that led to some confusion because we were at one bridge where they'd turned off all the lights and nobody was there. Luckily that one was super tall and we could make it through clearly. At the next bridge there was not so super tall. There was the potential of no damage or anything. It was tall enough we could have made it through. But we sort of got stuck there waiting for a little while until you called the attendant.
Yeah, there's a phone number on the notice board, so I just phoned up because we couldn't see through that one. And he was like, oh, I just left the lights off because there was lots of fires, but come through. So.
Yeah. So then the light went green and it was like, okay, we can go through now.
As you come up to the swing bridges, you have a red light. And then as soon as the the employee, the swing bridge...
I just went through this too.
Troll.
The attendant. The swing bridge troll.
As soon as the attendant spots you and they make the red light flash, so you know that they've seen you and like stuff's happening. And then when you can go through, it turns to green. But the one I got to at Sewell Junction when I'd just taken over and it was my first one, they didn't spot us for ages. And so I don't know if he was like having a wee or making a cup of tea, but I just had to hover there thinking, what's going on? And then eventually it started flashing red. Yeah. But I think it's a really good system.
It is, as long as you know about it. Yeah, it was a beautiful canal.
We did it in a day, but I can imagine it's the kind of place, it's the kind of route you could take your time over in the summer and just really enjoy, like lots of walks. And
so many moorings.
You can walk from the canal over to the river and back, and apparently if you're here at the right time,
you can see the boar. That looks like it would be really interesting.
I think it'd be amazing to see.
I don't think we've got one coming right now. It doesn't matter how long we stand here, we're not going to see it.
So, oh yeah, my favourite bridge was called Splat Bridge. Like,
Yeah.
I wonder how it got its name.
How is it named Splat?
All right, we need to go before the dog goes mad, but we're going to go and have a look at the docks because
Before he goes mad. Completely mad already.
because we can hear all these industrial like cranes and stuff. So
we want to see some of that.
seeing as I wouldn't let Michael cruise in there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
But this is it, the end of the canals, as far as you can go this way.
We've made it to the lock at Sharpness, and what do you think?
Well, it's it's a big working pier and commercial sort of area. There's a bunch of metal recycling going on behind us.
But you couldn't describe it as thriving. It's a bit sad and decrepit and
Yeah.
derelict and...
Yeah, I mean, it obviously does its business, which is industrial in nature. I didn't quite understand what it meant. I read a thing saying that scrap metal was one of the large sort of shipments that come here from Europe and stuff, Norway, etc. And apparently it's also, it can go right there for being sorted and melted down. Yeah, there's a big boatyard. There's a funny looking little white boat with a helicopter that has no rotor blades on it. There's
lots of boats out of the water, not really doing anything in the where the dry docks
a
are.
lot of stuff just slowly rotting away. But
Empty.
it's interesting.
Empty warehouses, rotting ships.
Yeah, definitely interesting.
It doesn't have the charm of the Gloucester docks, put it that way.
No.
And there's houses over there, but you feel like to live there would be like living on the edge of the world. You were saying if you'd come up the river from Bristol and you got here, like the lock is massive and there's a big like tidal pool outside the lock, but you'd be a bit disappointed, really.
Yeah. And there's two locks. So you'd go through the first lock into this huge pool. You'd come through the second lock, and then you'd be confronted with the noise of metal recycling, a couple of large sort of industrial buildings.
Derelict industrial buildings.
Yeah, and then a couple of swing bridges. And then you're on the Gloucester and Sharpness. And at that point, it's all lovely.
Good. There's some like old railway lines there which still has some cargo on it that obviously haven't been moved in decades, and there seem to be some people restoring some carriages and stuff as well.
Yeah, and there's some guys over here working on some old boats and stuff.
It's just a weird place, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm glad we came. I'm glad we've seen it.
But it definitely sort of feels like the end of the world.
Definitely feels like we don't need to stay here for any length of time.
Right. And considering there's a great bloody big black cloud over that way, we should probably get moving back to the boat.
So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video.
And Sharpness.
And the Gloucester and Sharpness Canal.
Yeah, so like, click, comment. I'm doing the click thing. I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to roll with it.
Embrace
like,
it.
click, comment the thumbs up button, subscribe, click whatever you feel like clicking, because you're going to click and click again. And
See you next time.
see you next time. Notifications.
When will we going back up to Gloucester?
Comments, doobly-doo. Yeah, tomorrow, up to Gloucester. I don't even know where heck he is, but hell's in Norway, and it's about as cold as it is in Norway. Due to the water outside getting cold enough to potentially freeze.
Cold enough that George didn't sleep at our feet where he usually sleeps. He slept basically,
Trying to shove you off the bed.
yeah, like trying to spoon me or have me spoon him. It wasn't pleasant. But how can a little, like, I'm bigger and heavier. How come I can't, like, stake my claim the space in the bed? How
You know, I don't know, because I'm the biggest and heaviest, and I had this much room. Right? Because I was lying on the side going, I'm going to fall off the bed.
But that's because George was like pushing me into the middle.
Yeah, so what I need you to do is to just move the dog.
I can't. He's too like heavy and like demanding of his space.
Like he's a demon dog.
We've made it to
Sharpness. At the end of the Gloucester and Sharpness Canal, beside the Severn, which is right over there.
And huge.
It's huge.
Really huge.
It's not that huge.
Quite huge.
It's like Mississippi's big, so it's like big, but it's not like... I don't know what you think you get. There's no ball to be thrown. He's eating a corn cob now. Okay. We got a crazy dog.
And he's just in his own poo bag.
Next, up. Up. Yeah, well,
North.
back. Forward.
But
So
there's
that initial portion would be like, oh God, what have I done?